Hey everybody, Brennan with Burnt's Lawn Care. Thanks for tuning in for another video. Today's going to be a shop day. It's a much needed shop day. We got some repairs to make on the walker. Let's get into the video. Alright, so I'm going to fire this machine up for you guys, and I want you to hear what's going on with it, and then I'll tell you what is going on with it. Can you guys hear that? As soon as I rev the throttle up, it goes away. But at low idle, you hear that rotational noise? That, guys, is a bearing that has let go in my hydro. Let me show you how we fix it. You guys like this right here? This is what I'm using to hold the hopper up right now because the strut's blowing out. I'm going to try to fix that today, hopefully, but let's talk about the main issue here. What has happened here, and I know this because I replaced this side already. What's happened here is the bearing. The bearing in the actual hydro itself has failed, and it's noisy now. It's building up a lot of resistance. Some of the balls inside may have come loose, which is probably what's creating that noise. And you really want to get this changed right away, because what can happen is if the bearing lets go completely, it may make the inner diameter of the hole where the bearing sits a little larger, because the bearing is going to spin around in there, and then you won't be able to replace the bearing. Also, what can happen is it'll start to leak really bad. You can suck in dirt or air, and you're going to have hydro problems. Luckily, I don't have hydro problems and I'm not leaking, but the bearing's wiped out. Now, when I replaced this one early in the season, when I had time to work on things, I ordered another one because I knew if one goes out, the other one's probably behind it. Well, this bearing's been whining for a little bit now. I just haven't had time to get to it, but today I'm going to show you how we fix it. Okay guys, if you have a Model T walker, this is the part number you're going to need. 5025-13. And what this is the input shaft for the hydro, and a new bearing, and also comes with a new seal. Okay? This bearing that you see here is what failed on mine, which is creating all that noise. So the first thing I need to do to get at this, I got to remove the battery. After that, I'm going to remove the belt. Then I'm going to remove the hydro fan itself. And then we're going to put a pulley puller on this pulley to gently pull it off the shaft. And that'll give me access to the input shaft. And I'll show you where we go from there. Alright, so I got the battery out. Next thing I need to do is I need to take this belt off. So what you do is you pull this, you take this tensioner right here. You pull up on it, see how that relaxes the belt? And then I can just guide the belt right off the pulley. Alright guys, so I got the belt off, you can see it, just relax the belt. Now let's see if the camera will pick up any play. Yeah, see it does. See this pulley, guys? You see the play in it? That's the bearing. Bearing's completely wiped out. So what we need to do is we're going to take this fan off, and then I'll show you how we get to the input shaft. So all you do, guys, is this a bolt that goes through the middle of the fan. It's an Allen head. You put an Allen wrench on it, And to help me out, because I put a little bit of blue Loctite on mine when I assembled it, I took a deep socket here on a 1/4 inch drive extension, and I put it over top of the Allen wrench, and that gives me more leverage, so I don't really have to fight with it. See guys, this is all it is. Just a screw and a washer. Alright, now that I got that off, we're ready to take the pulley off. And we're going to use the same Allen head driver to loosen up this one here and this one here. And then we can use a pulley puller on this to guide this off the shaft. So same trick with these guys. These have blue Loctite on them. You're supposed to put Loctite on them. I take a deep socket, I slide it right over my wrench, and I break it loose just like that. So guys, I want to show you a few things. Little trick here. This is a pulley puller. Okay, what this does is this connects to the back side of the pulley. Then you tighten this up into the center of the shaft that the pulley's on, this right here, and then you tighten it up. And when you tighten it up, these little claws here, they pull the pulley off. But not everybody has one of these, okay? So let me show you another trick. Go to the store and pick up a pair of ball joint forks. You kind of want them narrow, like thin at the bottom. And what you do is, you stick it right between the grooves here of the pulley, and a few whacks with a hammer should push this off the shaft. Now, you need to be careful. Don't go crazy on it, because you could actually break the pulley. But you should just be able to tap it with a hammer, and it should guide it right off. See the pulley coming off the shaft, guys? There it is. That's how you do it without a pulley puller. And as you can see, I didn't destroy the pulley. I've also had these break with a pulley puller on it. When this was frozen on the shaft before, the arms of the pulley came in the back side pulling it, and it pulled it too hard and it chipped it off. But we're in good shape here. So guys, that's how you do it without a pulley puller. So guys, once you got this off, a lot of you are going to be tempted to just go ahead and go to town and try to pull the shaft out. Not so fast. You want to use some brake cleaner or carb cleaner or some sort of cleaner to clean out all this gunk that's around this housing here prior to opening up the hydro, because if you don't and you take this shaft off, all that dirt's going to fall in your hydro and you're going to be screwed, okay? So just take some cleaner, shoot it in there like that, clean it all out. You want it nice and clean, and then you're going to want to blow it off with air just to make sure that everything is nice and spick and span, nice and clean. Look at all the gunk coming off there on the floor, look at that. See, that would be inside the hydro. Let's spray it one more time to make sure that it's all clean. Like I said, you don't want any of this debris falling inside of the hydro when you got it opened up. That could be catastrophic. All right, now that we got the hydro clean, and we're not gonna have anything fall inside it to contaminate it, the next step is to remove the snap ring that's inside of this lip on the case. There's a snap ring that holds the whole input shaft in. You got to take that off. So to do that, you're gonna need a pair of snap ring pliers. You can get them anywhere. I got mine at Harbor Freight. It was just cheap. So I don't think the camera's gonna pick it up, but there's a snap ring and it's right here. There's gonna be two holes, a hole on one side and a hole on the other side. And that's where you stick these prongs into those holes. And then when you squeeze in on the tool, it expands the snap ring so you can get it out of there. Alright guys, so here's the clip that holds the shaft on. What you do is, you put your tool in the holes, like so, and then you squeeze. And when you squeeze in, this makes the circumference of the clip smaller. So it takes the pressure off it, and you can get it out. Now the next step is to grab this shaft and pull it out. I usually put a pair of vice grips on it and wiggle it back and forth, and it usually comes out. There it is, guys. The old input shaft. This was the part that was bad, this bearing here. Now you guys are going to lose some fluid when you remove this. That's totally normal. My seal's in good shape, so I'm not even going to replace it. There's no need to. It never leaked before, and I'm feeling it now and it feels good, so I'm just going to put the new shaft right in it, and I'll show you how we do that. Alright, so here's the new input shaft. It goes in like this. These gears, they mesh up with the final drives kind of on their own once this is in the right position. So what you do is stick it in. You want to try to get this as centered in the case as possible, as best as you can. And then what you do is you take a deep socket, one that's the same size as this bearing, and you tap it in lightly. So guys, here's the old input shaft, and I found a socket here. This is 1 1/8 inches. See how it fits right over there perfectly? That's going to allow me to drive this in evenly. If I had a socket that wasn't the right size, I wouldn't be able to drive this in correctly, and it would be sitting offset. So I lightly started tapping it in with my socket here. As you can see, I got a ways to go. I'm just going to keep tapping it until it's in all the way, and I'll show you the next step. Alright guys, the new input shaft is in. Now once it's in, how do you know when it's all the way in? Well, you want to kind of use your judgment. Remember how far the old one was in? You had a little bit of a lip here where that retaining ring sat in that groove. You want to try to copy exactly what was there. So if I was to guess, it's probably about an 1/8 inch of lip here between the bearing and the case. Okay, that gives you enough meat to put your retaining clip in there. Now also, when you put your shaft in, turn it by hand. Turn it by hand like this. Oh, my hands are greasy. Turn it like this. See how it's turning? I'm turning it. There's nothing funky going on there. It's turning freely. That's how you know that you're good. Okay, you don't want to have any funkiness going on. You don't want to have any resistance, nothing like that. It should be nice and buttery smooth. So now I'm going to take this retaining ring, this snap ring, and put it back in here, and then I can put my pulley back on. Oh, also guys, don't forget, the kit doesn't come with a new pin. A new pin that goes here, so you got to use your old one off the old input shaft. The keyway. You got to use the old keyway. No big deal. Don't forget that. Alright guys, the snap ring's back in. Now we can put the keyway back on and get the pulley back on. So guys, when you put your pulley on, line it up, line the keyway up with the groove that's on the pulley, like so, and you just lightly tap it in place. So a question some of you guys may ask, well, how do I know how far down to go with the pulley? Well, the simple answer is this, guys. You want the edge of this pulley even with the end of the output shaft, okay? You want it flush. If you drive this in too far, this pulley is going to hit the case of the hydro and it's not going to work correctly. So always when you put these back on, spin them, make sure there's no noises, like there's no rubbing, make sure there's no resistance. As you can see here, we're good. But rule of thumb is basically you want the pulley level with the output shaft. So now that this is back on, we can put our set screws back in, our Allen head set screws. I am going to put blue Loctite back on them. And then we'll put our fan back on. Alright guys, well I got the pulley on and the set screws tight. And what I did was I put the belt back on, but I didn't put it on the tensioner yet, and there's a reason for that. I'll show you that in a minute. But let's get the fan back on the hydro. Alright, got the fan back on. Next step. As you can see, there's oil on the ground. We lost some hydro fluid, so we need to refill that. The reason why I left this belt loose is so that when I fill up this hydro with fluid, I can spin this pulley by hand to work the air out of it. Now some of you might be saying, well, why don't you just take the cap off the reservoir and purge the air out that way as you're filling it, or the air will rise to the top and come out. Well, look guys, my hydros are still sealed. They haven't even been opened. And I'm not breaking that seal now. You know, don't fix what ain't broke. This is where you fill the hydro with oil. Now before you go and crack that loose and start pouring oil in it, you want to make sure this is clean. You don't want any dirt getting in there. So take your carburetor cleaner or brake clean, whatever you got, spray that sucker down and blow it out with an air gun. Get it nice and clean so we're not getting any dirt inside of those hydros. I'm going to spray it again just for reassurance. Now I know when I take this plug out and put oil in there, I'm nice and clean. So guys, this is what I use for the hydro fluid. It's 1550. Any 1550 will work fine. This is a full synthetic oil. As you can see here, I got my little mini funnel here that I use to fill the hydro up. Now when I get this full, the oil is going to purge out of the top here and run down the hydro, okay? You want to fill this oil all the way up till this is full. And over time, within a couple minutes, the air is going to start to work its way out, and then we're going to manually turn the hydro over by hand to make sure that all the air is out of the system. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this up slowly because we didn't lose that much fluid. And I'm expecting this to start coming out the top like that. See what it's doing right there? That's what you want to see. Now, you might see this burp every now and then. You might see an air bubble come to the surface. So guys, periodically what I'm doing here is I'm manually spinning the hydro by hand. Okay? And what that's doing is it's moving the oil around inside of the hydro itself to purge out any air that may be in there. Get a glimpse of this. See what happens, guys? It just burped a second ago. I don't know if the camera caught it. But that burping is a good sign. Oh, did you just see that? See the oil moving? Alright, I ended up putting the plug back in, the oil plug, oil fill plug. That's done. Everything's good with the hydro. I put the belt tensioner back on for the hydros. That's all set. So now what I have to do is put the battery back in. Okay guys, everything's back together. The only thing left to do now is take it for a spin and see how it's acting. See if it's fixed. Alright guys, so we got the mower fixed, the new input shaft is in, everything's working good, no more funky noises going on. I hope this video helps somebody out there that may have the same problem as what I had. It's really not that difficult of a job, guys. You know, if you take it to your dealer, they're most likely going to tell you that you need a new hydro, and that's simply not the case. You know, I'm not saying every dealer is going to do that, but a lot of the dealers now, I call them part replacers. They're just going to want to replace the whole hydro instead of just putting the input shaft in it. You know, saves you $800 doing it this way, because the new pump's around 800 bucks. The input shaft itself, I got with the bearing and everything, I got on eBay. It was like $85. So $85 and a little bit of your time saves you $800 plus labor. It's $800 just for the pump plus the dealer to put it in. You're probably looking at another $300-400 in labor. So I appreciate you guys tuning in this video. If you like what you see, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and we'll catch you on the next one. See you later, guys.